Hello everyone and a warm welcome to today's webinar, Security in AI Stack, a free live webinar hosted by Fever. Sriram will share key insights, best practices and real-world case studies to help you build security into your AI stack from the ground up. Yes, let's quickly welcome Sriram Macharla.
So let me start with an incident. In 1994, there are two major achievements in India. So one is in area of IT, another is in beauty. So when I say IT, one of the major developments which happened, the telecom policy was unveiled, which led to tremendous growth in IT. And it is the first time India won both the beauty pageants, Miss Universe and Miss World. So the interest of today, the talk of today is related to IT. Sure, the what you call relevance of the data and which is collected or asked, and then obviously you don't necessarily always go through the technical literature, but it's obvious interest like to see what are the latest developments, because the field is developing so fast that you would have already witnessed, right? Almost every month we are seeing some new model and some new development happening in this domain. and followed by, obviously, we do the data preparation, which includes gathering data and then identifying the data sources. And then we do something called as data exploration, or EDA, the exploratory data analysis. Try to get a feel of our data set, try to see the number of variables, and also try to see if there are any nulls, and then how to handle that. And yeah, external data acquisition, in case the data set is insufficient, sometimes you may want to go and create either some synthetic data or try to collect additional data set. And then we do the data pre-processing. In this pre-processing step, essentially what we are going to do is try to see if there are any missing values, and then either do some type of imputation, essentially to find a statistical method which we can use to fill up the data. And sometimes maybe in practice you may want to talk to the SME who is generally the domain expert, who can suggest like how to handle the missing data, whether they can provide some values to that, or we may sometimes, if the data set is really huge, we may want to clean up the data. And then we start up with some initial prototype. We start with some initial prototype to see the results, and to improve the results, probably we may try to go for other modeling techniques, and also decide the model. Like, say, some cases where the interpretation is very important, interpretability of the results is very important, we may want to stick to traditional models. And yeah, if needed, if we think sometime the data is less, we may want to augment the data or try to collect additional data set and add it to our training. And then we develop a benchmark. This development of benchmark, essentially, like, say, if it's a classification model, now we try to find the accuracy of the classification, which again generally is in sync, or say after discussion with the SME. And yeah, we also, with this benchmark, typically after this benchmark, we may want to try different AI models. And then those of you who are already in this field, typically for classification, you may note that it's generally the way we try with a basic logistic regression method, and then use it as a benchmark, and then try to go with other classification models, maybe go for an SVM or some decision tree, or say any some type of random forest type of technique, or of course the latest what you call, I don't say exactly the latest, so but one of the latest developments models in this area is using the boosting techniques, something like an XGBoost. And then we evaluate the what you call the primary matrix. And yeah, we as part of the development, we typically end with the explainability, which may or may not always be part of the standard life cycle. And then all the steps I'm trying to go in depth, these are all not necessary, all the steps are used, but these are definitely the important phases. We start with design, we do the development, and then we focus on the deployment. So as part of the deployment, like, say, we Paul. You may have to unmute yourself. Sai, can you please help unmuting? Yeah.
My question was, is that accepted as the standard life cycle? If not, where does it come from? And I think it's just from the paper that you were giving the title of.
Yeah, exactly. I took the steps from the reference which I have provided in the paper. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for that. And yeah, coming to that, before we get into the details of the model security, let's talk about the major security layers, AI security layers. The first one, obviously, is the data security, followed by model training security, because, and this is the intention I started initially with the different steps or different phases. So followed by the model training security, and then we do the deployment and inference. So the security deployment and inference security comes into picture. And then finally, it is the user interaction and ethical considerations. And data security, it ensures the what you call integrity and confidentiality of the data, which gets into the model. We'll get into in the following slides. We'll delve into much deeper into that. And then the model training security, obviously at this layer, we try to ensure the protection of our models during training phase from adversarial attacks. And comes to the deployment and inference security, where we take care of the safeguards of our AI systems during deployment, as well as there are chances that the security is not provided properly, right? Like we need to ensure if it's cloud, proper IAM rules are set up, the policies are in place, so that the model itself is not stolen. And then finally, user interaction ethical considerations. It is sort of depending on the model, right? Some models are for internal use. So in that case, this point number 4 may not be that significant. But this becomes significant when the models are for external use too. Yeah, with that, let us get into some more details about understanding the AI security layers. Let me just fix something. Yeah. So with this latest developments, we have noted that AI systems are increasingly integrated with external sources, and then that becomes much more important. And let me give you some example of one of the clients whom I was working with earlier. Their models, while they ensured security within their system, but some of their data was processed with the help of a third-party authorized user. So there was some data breach at that third-party side, and then which led to penalties for that particular organization. So that is where integrating with the third-party systems becomes important, because it's not only about some type of data breach, but if the data is not secured properly, especially when there is an interaction with external AI system, there is possibility of data pollution too. Then comes the comprehensive security approach. So we have to remember that security it's not just about the AI model, but the entire stack, the entire environment where it is hosted, as well as the sources from where we are procuring the data. And this is part of what you call as data provenance, so which we'll see in the next slides. Data provenance at a high level is about all the phases of gathering the data, or to developing the model, which is the gathering the data and training the model. So we keep a track of where it's obvious that we have to secure it. Not only about the PII, also there are other additional standards, right? Like say something like GDPR requirements, which needed to be adhered in case of the data being processed belonging to some European countries. So one interesting thing which I want to talk about the data poisoning. The data poisoning need not be always intentional. There are chances that the data poisoning also happens unintentionally. So one of the classic example is when you're trying to do imputation, right? If the imputation method is not chosen correctly, it could become a cause of data poisoning, which is unwanted, right, or unintentional data poisoning. Okay, with that, let me ask a question. This is something which I did notice while working for a client in the IoT domain. So essentially, what was happening or less likely, I'll say, no, rather than unlikely, that the variation has happened drastically. Like, say that you are using a sensor to monitor the daily temperature. So it's very unlikely that every second, right, there is going to be a drastic change of temperature. So rather than going with the methods like a mean or median, we actually try to repeat the value of the previous second. Okay. So, but in case that is not followed, obviously, right, it's going to give us, it could become source of data contamination. Okay, next comes the adversarial attacks on the models itself. So models are vulnerable, right? As we have seen earlier during the beginning of the talk, what happens if the training data set is corrupted, right? Like how many tokens we need to modify to what you call corrupt the results which are coming from the models. So we have already seen there could be some adversarial attacks on the models themselves. And then comes the most important thing, which is the infrastructure vulnerabilities. So it's obviously natural that we pay attention to who has access, how do they access, and what all they access. It's not only about what you call securing the model against attacks. First of all, if the infrastructure is not safe, some competitor or say someone with what you call malified intentions, they can actually steal the model itself. And then the standard one, which is the API security risk. It's very important, just like in any other software engineering field. Like the APIs we are using or developing, we follow or develop secure APIs, which could become easy and potential entry points for attackers. And finally, if not the last, the regulatory and compliance concerns. Obviously, we need to follow the laws of the land to ensure that the trust is maintained and to avoid any penalties. A time at the end of this talk for Q&A, but in between I want to keep it more interactive. So if there are any questions, please feel free to paste them in the chat, and then I'll stop at a logical point to answer. Okay, let us dig a bit deeper into exploring the AI system stack. So as we have seen, right? Which layer, like say data security, is handled at the input layer, which ensures protection of data entering the AI systems to prevent breaches. The model security or the processing layer, where we are actually developing and then developing the model, training the model, and then storing the model. We have to ensure the safeguards, or in this at this layer, we pay attention to safeguard the AI models. And then the infrastructure security, which essentially is hardware and cloud, and then hardware essentially if you are doing something on-prem. It helps to secure the model itself, and then and we ensure that it is hosted in a secure manner. And then the application security, at this layer, we ensure that there are no breaches while the end user is using this during the end user interaction stage. Here, what is important, like say, probably you may already be familiar with terms like jailbreaks. So besides that, there are other ways people try to what you call reverse engineer the model just by trying to give different types of One thing is the adversarial attacks, where the techniques can be used to manipulate the data. So how do we handle this adversarial attacks? So we can do some type of adversarial training, like say similar to how we do in the regular software, right? Like try to come up with corner use cases, come up with the security threat, like say have a team. Typically how we do the penetration testing, have a team who can don the mask of an adversary and try to see the vulnerable points in our system, which we can try to overcome or harden our model. And we can also use something called as model watermarking. So model watermarking helps to ensure that in the different phases, like say typically we have something like as a dev environment, and before that typically we have a training environment, we have a dev and prod. Of course, some processes use lesser and then some more type of environments. So while the model is moving between these environments, we can always ensure verify the watermark. And also another way is to provide certificates. So one of the things which they take care during training is because the autonomous vehicles, right? Say that if it's a car, so it has the ability to read the signboards. Like say it could be speeding, or it could be the signal, stop stop signal. So what if somebody on the way they try to manipulate the vehicle by providing what you call an incorrect traffic sign, or say it providing an incorrect speed sign, something which is supposed to be 65 miles per hour. So in that place, what if somebody keeps something like 200 miles per hour? So that could be a potential threat. So these are some things which, depending on the domain too, people take care when training their models. Travel a lot during these times, or maybe your shopping habits differ because of different sale and other what you call discounts which are offered during the major holiday season, right? So the concept of drift itself changes. Like, say, what if just because you started using beyond 10 transactions, you can't just have a rule based system, but also depending on the occasion and the uh, occasion and also the purchase history, or maybe the amount of spend, you have to the model has to be built in an intelligent way to understand the concept also. Like, say, because of the season, there's a change in your spending habits. So obviously, if it starts blocking all the transactions beyond, like, say, typical 10 or 12 swipes, right, it's going to cause problem to the customer as well as to the business. So in that way, the model is causing harm rather than trying to help. So that is an example of a concept drift. And data drift typically can happen, right? Like, say, if the data source itself has changed. Like, say, if you are receiving earlier you used to receive data from a Excel sheet, and then after some time, when the model has gone to production, you plan to provide it the same data, but maybe from through some other database or some other source, which has a different habit of handling the decimals. So
Got
that
it.
could,
Thank you.
yeah, that could cause a data drift. Or sometimes you trained your model to be used within US, but you are getting data from outside US, maybe from Asia or Europe, where they use a different what you call currency. Instead of dollar, say, you should say rupee, or say ruble, or it's a euro. Okay, the data itself can change. That's
We'll be receiving the reach outable emails so that you can reach out to us.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that will be
Okay.
better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise, just more like a general feedback. I'd like to know if there is any particular thing you want to delve deeper, because this is just a talk to give an overview, not to uh, dive deeper into any specific topic. But if there is something which is of interest, please let us know through Agile Fever. So either me or probably they'll be able to arrange some other speaker. Yes, Shivraj, go ahead.
Yeah, I am expecting something like as an auditor, while doing the audit as per auditing the part of AI models.
Yeah.
So like, is there any like specific documentation or any
Yeah.
hardening best practices you have? Then it would be grateful.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good point, Shivraj. I'll say audit definitely is a must. Like overall, somewhere probably I skipped that point. But auditing regularly, see, one of the best mitigation plan is to have regular and periodic. We can close it unless if there are any other questions which are.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I
Yeah,
think
that brings
we have answered all the questions. Thank you, Sai. Thanks all the participants, especially those who asked questions and helped to keep the session interactive.
Yes, team, that brings us to the end of this insightful session. And a big thank you to Sriram for sharing such valuable insights. And of course, thank you all for joining us. If you are looking to take your security skills to the next level, check out our professional development opportunities at Agile Fever. You can learn about AI and data science and AI related courses in our Agile Fever. Stay connected with us for future webinars and learning opportunities. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you for our next sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Sriram.
all of you. Have a great rest of your day.